Yeah,
All right,
I just keep
hello
it steady on
everybody.
the
Welcome
magic.
back to
Do
the
my thing, I'm
Uprooted
healing, it's
Podcast.
fantastic.
Yeah, we're gonna just have
If I
some
fall,
good
rise
conversation
automatic.
about some good
You ain't
topics
on
with some
that,
good
you
people.
know. I'm the one raise myself like a tree from the roots. West side girl, cause she lit in the coast. East side girl when she speaks to the roots. Stay 100 cause she on with the truth. Been there on struggle, know that it pass. Only going up, yeah, the pain don't last. Ooh, take off. Ooh, take off. Ooh, take off. This is take off, take off, take off. Shorty like Brandy, fight like Monica. What you know about her? Baby girl rising, wet at the top. Shaking the world, don't expect her to stop. Purpose so great, she get what she got. Follow her step, cause she following God. What you need more, got a heart full of gold. Even at times when it's raining and cold. Ooh, she bout take off.
Hey, it's your girl Hannah, aka Ruta. Welcome back to the Uprooted Podcast and your weekly installment of Black Women Wednesdays. Thank y'all for sticking with your girl. I'm about to have the amazing Betty on, who is going to be teaching us all about political advocacy. Man, I've had some technical difficulties today. You would not even guess what I just went through, but Betty is a queen and she has been reassuring me in the chat. So we're going to make it work. We're going to make it a little bit shorter of an episode. I hope y'all understand. But yes, my good sis will be joining me shortly before she heads to work. So, I hope y'all are having a good Wednesday. I hope the technology on your side is behaving. And just remember, obstacles are going to come up, but as long as you're determined and you keep trying, you will make your way through it. So, what's up, y'all? Yeah, I've been running around all day in my mind. I got some surprise things coming your way. But first and foremost, I gotta make sure I get my girl Betty on here. Make sure we serve the people because I need y'all to still see this amazing woman. And we're gonna get it popping. Okay, I see you, sis. Let me see. Let's hope this live act's correct, y'all. Now we gonna reschedule. Hey, Aunt. How y'all doing, everybody? How y'all doing? Let's see. Everybody cross your fingers. Yay!
Oh my god, I was so nervous it wasn't gonna work. I was like, nah.
Bruh, I feel like I just aged 3 years in like 30 minutes.
I feel like I woke up, honestly. I was half asleep at 6. So like low key benefited me.
Hey, listen. Good. That's what we like to hear because the way I was stressed. I've been working on the. No,
I could tell the way you were messaging me. I was like, it's okay. No one's gonna notice.
I had to go on my laptop to message you because like nothing was working on my phone. Like it was just kept eternally loading, and I was like, what the heck? So I think my phone was overheating.
That's happened to me.
Yeah, it's the worst, but it is what it is. Welcome everybody. I just, I'm used to talking to you, but for those who don't know, if you don't, this is our hafte Betty. Betty is from Australia. If you haven't already known, if you're from Tigray, you should know. If you're not, I understand. So let me introduce you to the.
I have a new flag. So.
Look at it. You're already ready. Okay. That's what I'm talking about with today. But for those who don't know, this is Betty. Betty is from Perth, Australia. And I always get your title wrong. So remind me again, like what industry, like I know you're in politics, but exactly like, tell the people what your role is and kind of what you do in that space.
Like my paid job. So it's not so much politics, it's like local government. So we're like a form of like state government. So we work for the community. So like my role is to like advocate for like the community or district that I live in.
Listen, I don't like, I know what that is, but I've never ventured into that world. I do it like more in a grassroots way. So sometimes I just be like, y'all be saying all these things like they're just so normal and easy for everyone.
I believe in grassroots, sis. I hate hierarchies. Like even with the movement, I'm like big on grassroots. So
listen, okay, well then we on the same page. But we understand if you have done any grassroots organizing, community organizing, that we don't always have the means to get what we want done. because
No.
we still exist in a hierarchy, right? So
Mm-hmm.
tell the people a little bit about kind of like, again, let me, for those of you who don't know, Betsy's been very involved in the movement. She was on the episode Women in the Movement. If you want to go back through my past episodes to get to know a little bit more about like the work she's doing on a local and global level for the fight against the Tigray genocide. And so because we're late, I'm jumping in a little bit faster than normal. So I hope you guys are okay with that. But in terms of actually getting involved, right, and like understanding, like, even though we don't believe in hierarchy, we operate in a world that does, right? So that's where political advocacy and grassroots organizing like have to make a bridge. And I think that's where you see yourself, if I'm not mistaken, and like where a lot of your efforts have been made.
I mean, I'm like, overall, I do believe the system kind of fails and we shouldn't be working within the system, but in that's an ideal world. But at the moment though, it's very much like making sure like the people have a voice, right? So like even politics, like a lot of people say like I don't believe in politics and they think that they're open-minded or whatever they want to say, but you know, politics and like influence, it impacts the community, right? So my role at the moment, like my paid role would be like it's not related to Tigray, but we do have a Tigray community within that district because it's like 19 suburbs. But my main role is to like make sure they know the tools, because what happens is like the government will give them tools to speak, but they have no idea. It's not in English. They've got heaps of barriers. So yeah, so my like passion is to make sure they know where they stand within the system.
Absolutely, and that this information is accessible. But what I've noticed too for us in what our role has been is really the bridge between two generations and trying to transfer like one set of knowledge to the adults and then another set of knowledge to the younger people coming up behind us. And something I find inspiring for you is just even, could you speak to like how you got into this role? Because you're in it now and we're in it every day, but what were like kind of the first steps of your journey for anyone who is, you know, interested in following that example?
So a lot of us here have been volunteering for ages, like within the community. So like even prior to today, like I was a youth leader for like a couple of years, probably say like 3 years now. And then we had like a group called Diaspora Under, which was like an Ethiopian and Eritrean group. So I've always like kind of done community work like growing up. And a lot of that stemmed from like mental health. Like people were like at the time were dying from suicide. So we were like, well, like let's all stand up at the moment. And so like my first degree was like in community development or urban and regional planning. And then now I'm doing like human rights, but I had to take a semester off because of obviously the Tigray stuff, and that was taking majority of my time. But yeah, like we've done it for ages. Like I've like even before the war, like I don't know if you know Finita Solomon, but she's one of the women that like she stopped like underage marriage back home. Like she's big on women's rights. Yeah, like I've been obsessed with her for like 2 years, and then she like accepted me on Facebook, and I was like, well, this is huge too. I know she's actually in Australia, but I always like speak to her on the phone now. Like we're quite close. She's like 10 years older than me, but definitely a role model. And like she would send me books to read. So it's always been like a passion. Like with her, like she only started quite late. So she's like 10 years ago. But like in comparison to everyone within this space, she's like an OG, like an OG to a T.
Oh wow.
But yeah, always been kind of my passion. I've like, and that's the same as you. Like, you know how you've always been outspoken? Like my mum's like, Subali, like it's just, it's too much. Like sometimes just accept how society is. I'm like, I can't accept it.
I consider it our wayane. That's just like what now. That's what I use. Like when they come at me crazy, or like they're like, oh, why are you so high up? I said, I got it from y'all. What do you mean? You pass this down, right?
Honestly, my mom is like, she's so soft, but she's so strong.
Oh wow.
Honestly, I can we can be like, we got it from Marta. Like if you just think about the women that we've like grown up hearing, we got it from you guys. I don't know why you're arguing, why are you stressed? But I think that comes from like them thinking like men can't handle us, and I'm like, my life is not going to be around like what men can or cannot handle. Like, no.
They'll figure it out. That's why I tell people, I was like, they will figure it out. Even if they're gonna be the last ones to figure it out, they will get there eventually. Your responsibility is to live in your purpose and like continue on your path, and whoever's supposed to be on that path will find you, is what I believe. But also, let me break that down for people, because I just be dropping gems and shit. But from your journey, for those who are needing to connect the dots, because sometimes I'm like, what does that mean? So what it means is that she was surrounded by people who were already doing this work. So if you're starting in the community and you're paying attention to the women organizing, putting events together, making sure the kids are all on the same page, it's like when you're surrounded at that, like that is what becomes second nature to you. And then when you meet other women, right, you're also speaking on mentorship, is looking at them being like, yo, you did this amazing thing and you made it happen. I don't know how to make things happen, but I want to make them happen. And then she also gave you books. So like for people who are really trying to get this, it's like, first figure out who your mentors are, who you want them to be, and like start following their example, because like you said, she's 10 years ahead, but 10 years, like if you can cut that down in 5, and then if you can teach somebody else, then we can cut that down in 1 or 2. You know what I mean? So like by process of mentoring, like we really will kind of close the generation gap. So I think that's super dope. And
I hate that like within our community we don't actually invest in other people. Like I don't know if you've noticed that. Like it's just like we don't mentor other people. Even if you look at like the leaders back home, if you look at inspiring people, they do their stuff, it's great, but they don't really teach the next generation. Like we have to figure it out on our own. Yeah, that's a huge thing. And I also don't like how we wait till like someone's passed away or something really bad has happened before we all step up and freak out. And
collectively.
Now's a big example. Like we had to wait to go genocide for us to all like actually speak up about things. But this is happening in Tigray for years. Like Tigray's never actually benefited from being Ethiopians. It's like, I just wish it didn't take 150,000 people dying for like a lot of people to realize.
Oh, I know. That's like, it's been insane to think of. So we found out we're somewhat closely related, like in terms of our.
Why did we mention this?
No, I just like to tell people because this is how crazy this is for us, right? But it's not surprising that our parents know each other. It's not surprising that that we connected, because we both have been invested and like really concerned about our communities. Sometimes to the point of aggression, because there's days where I'll be looking at them like, y'all get on my nerves. But at the end of the day, it's care, and it's care for our people and our culture, and we want to make sure they prosper, right? And we've wanted people to get to know their roots and their identity and all these things. And so, yeah, it's unfortunate that it happens this way, but I also think it's not an uncommon story for the first generation diaspora, right, across the world. So I've been spending more time trying to like understand it, right? Like I'm like, okay, let me look at what else is going on around the world and how other generations have done this, and like why certain countries can remain peaceful and stable for much longer than others, and kind of thinking about those questions. And I know the area I'm a little weaker at is political advocacy, and that's something that you've been really working on in terms of like, what does that even mean and what does that even look like? So like, I like that you're first telling them the steps of how you got involved in the first place, but then once you get your foot in the door, what are the actual steps that you're taking, right? Like people are signing petitions, they're doing Twitter campaigns, you know, they're protesting, but that's not the end of political advocacy. So can you speak to like what the rest of it actually means?
So the aim of policy and advocacy is to get other people doing a fight, right? So what's happening like within the Tigray community at the moment around the world is like we're doing the fight. So we're the ones creating the campaigns, we're the ones that are like writing petitions and getting people to sign it. But for like policy and advocacy to work is you getting other people to speak on your behalf without you even mentioning anything. So it's like BLM was really successful because we started speaking about it. It was an idea. It wasn't like a group per se. So I feel like that's the only part we're kind of lacking in the movement, is like we need to get more people, everyday people, to like speak about the Tigray genocide without us being present all without this, like the same faces being the one speaking, like that's success. But like it's not that deep. Like it's not, you don't need to memorize like every single policy. It's just, policy advocacy is basically getting people on your side. So how you do that is up to you. Social media has been like a good way and a very successful way for us, I guess, in our movement. And also like petitions. But like we need to, like, I feel like we need to speak to like more representatives. Like it's honestly, like leave the government. I can't lie. Everyone knows about it around the world. Like every country leader, like your local representative probably knows about it. Like at the moment, it's like getting, I don't know. Weird. What's happening? I swear this is not me. Can you guys comment saying if this is me or Hannah? Look, Australia's Wi-Fi is like last time, and I refuse to believe it's me now. Honestly, sounds like.
Okay, let me see.
Oh, you're
okay,
working. Okay, cool.
I can hear you now. Okay. Wow.
Oh, the sun's coming up now. The sun's coming up.
Gosh. Wow. This one, you guys, first of all, be happy. Beatty wakes up at the crack of dawn to do these things. Oh my god.
I literally always complain. I've actually like Mike in the comments today, but I always complain. I'm like, America always gets me up at like 5:30. I'm sick of you guys, but
no,
I came in.
But I'm gonna take credit because I actually tried really hard to be the person that woke up early for you. But the way your schedule is all over the place because you're everywhere. But what I remember before we got rudely interrupted was that what I took away from what you were saying, and I think is the obstacle that I even faced before I was like fully deep into this activism work, was when I heard politics, what you said touched me was needing to know all the rules. But when we're talking about political advocacy, what we're really talking about is influence. And I think that's the key word there, is like, how are we influencing other people to care on our behalf enough to actually advocate for us? So like, that was the kicker. That was the thing that I feel like, if you didn't take anything else away from this, that should be it. So when we talk about you're trying to do more work in that, what we're meaning is, how do we reach more people, and how can we do that creatively, right? Outside of what we're doing. Outside of our community, because policy advocacy, like, it's the whole thing is like raising awareness, and then influencing policy, right? So that doesn't have to be through us. Like, I know that if I speak to my PM, like, he's going to be like, who the hell are you? Even if it's like a valid course. But like, if I can speak to, I don't know, like his investor or someone, like a company that he invests in, like tackle it that way, then like he's more likely to listen. So yeah, policy advocacy, it's not just like this strict rule where like you now have to go to like parliament and like speak. It's so simple, but people like get, I guess, carried away with supporting, unfortunately. Yeah, I
feel like there's like a
go ahead.
It's like a huge elephant. Like, I can't figure it out. I got to learn about it before I step in. Like, it's this huge thing, but it's like you don't need to know that much. Like, speak to people that do. I know we're writing like toolkits as well. Like the American one's completely done, which you know about anyway.
Yeah.
And I'm finalizing like the Australian toolkit, because I know a lot of people like steer away from it because they're like, oh, I don't know much about politics. I'm like, politics is not that scary. It's like individuals who are fighting for the community, and like a lot of representatives, they get their roles because we vote for them. So hold them accountable. Like, hold them accountable.
Yeah.
Even if it's like in a petty way.
Yeah. And it's like, we live in, so this is the thing too that I've been really like thinking about lately. We live in countries where there's structures in place for you to benefit from, which is like going back to your earlier point, right? But the reason why people are able to get away with so much in this like society and country is because we don't do our end of the bargain. Like, we'll vote for them and we only talk to them when it's election time. So of course it's easy for them to get into place and do whatever the hell they want because they're not serving you anymore. They're serving the guy that's making sure they stay in office, that their pockets stay lined, and that they're honestly like. So now that you say politics and influence and relating it to influence, why do you think it's easy for people to stay on top? Because when you're in government, you're in rooms with CEOs, you're in rooms with people who are creative, you're in rooms with lobbyists, you're in rooms with all of these people who are coming to the government to get what they want. And now you're in a position because you're in that network. So that's why we say like that's simple human basic networking. Like, you know what I mean? When you take it like, down to like that level of just principle. So what we just need people to know is like you're a player in that equation. Like if you don't do your part, then they do whatever they want that benefits them. But what you can do is understand like politics as influence, and shifting it into that perspective will help you actually get and move into action is what I'm taking away from this. Would you say that's fair?
You wrapped up amazing. Yeah.
Okay. You know, because I be reading and I be summarizing, but I'm not always the originator.
No, you're so.
This
is why you're my therapist. Because I leave like that actually makes sense. Like the way you wrap up the conversation, I'm like, okay, cool. I know where I'm going now. But no, I agree. Okay. And also, like they don't get like the people forget. Like despite the system failing, the power is in the people. They make you think it's not right. So it's like they're coming into these rooms and getting a lot of pressure from like not just CEOs but also other politicians. Like it could be like the state government, it could be anyone. So of course they're going to lean towards that. So people can like tend to like lose themselves as soon as they get into power. So even for us, like I said this before on live, but I'm like the first Black person to work in that space. And like I start off like people like welcome, it's diverse now, but they don't set me up. Like suddenly like I'm representing like all the diverse communities. I'm like I can only really represent my own community, and even then like I'm still like a young woman. I don't have the same like trauma as my parents do. But yeah,
you know what's crazy?
Talking about parents, we have to mention how we know each other before this ends.
Oh yes, we can do that. I was gonna say the crazy part of what you said is it's so amazing when people are like, you know, you're the first, you're the trailblazer, you're this. And I say that too because I want you guys to acknowledge the moment and like take it in while you're living it, right? But also like the flip side of it is it's scary as hell to be the first one. And that second part of what you said, I couldn't imagine the pressure of having everyone want me to represent them. When the key is to empower them so they can represent themselves. And I feel like governments, right, are meant to be the middleman. Like it really should be an administrative role, right? Like, hey, these people are struggling with this. We need to work on that. Let's do that. Like it shouldn't be this uphill battle where you're supposed to be like the savior. You know what I mean? Like things like that. So I'm glad that you kind of pointed that out, like the pressure that also comes with it. But you tell the story of how we go ahead.
No, I was going to wrap it up by saying that like we should, like if let's say you're a planner, I'm not planning for you, like I'm literally planning for you. So like I'm a planner for the community. It's like I'm a service to you, but people come to them like scared. But I'm like, if you call your representative, it's their job to like actually listen to what you're saying. Like in WA at least, they all have to like give you 15 minutes. Like they have to give you 15 minutes. It's like every single person is doing that, then like that's enough.
Listen.
But talking about how we met.
Yes. Okay, so tell the people how we met, and then we're gonna wrap up with the question on what you want your legacy to be so that you can get to work and not be late. I know. Well, at least I'm telling you while you're telling the story, you can think about it.
I know. So it's almost like I mean like how our families like know each other, how we found that out after 4 months of being friends. Was it 4 or 5 months? I'm not even too sure. I feel like it's been 2 months now.
I don't know.
Me and Hannah are a part of a working group I'm still going to include you in that because I refuse. So me and Hannah are a part of a working group.
Okay, go ahead.
Because we've kind of shifted now. I'm just going to say behind the scenes advocacy. So we support the communities behind the scenes. And yeah, so like we automatically clicked. That's the same as like Theben, Remhai, Madi. We have like a group chat. And I was like, man, these girls are actually my sisters, can't lie.
Aww.
And then 4 months, I know, I'm so sweet, honestly. I touch myself. But like 4 months later, Hannah's actually actually, I feel like are you closer to Moz? I'm just going to say no, but.
In your mind, but yeah, go ahead.
In my mind, no, or like in real life?
In your mind, no, but Moz is definitely day one, man. That's
totally okay, because at the end of the day, I have Theben and Hannah and Remhai. Oh, Hannah, I'm so sorry.
And
Theben, Remhai, Mahada.
It's okay, Dahna. So, you found out.
So they were FaceTiming. So, by the way, Moz is like my cousin. But anyways, they were FaceTiming, and then like, do you want to say your side of the story now?
So we were FaceTiming, and my mom's in the background. Anyone who actually talks to me on the phone, my mom is usually in the background, right? And
oh my god, my mom's in the background now.
See how this works. And then she was like, oh, who are you talking to? I was like, it's Moz from Australia. She goes, oh, Australia, does he know this person? I said, I don't know. Moz, do you know this person? And he goes, wow, who's this? what, wait, say the name again? And I said the name. And he goes, Hannah, are you serious right now? And I'm like, yes, I'm serious. And he goes, yeah, of course I know that person. That's Betsy's dad. I was like, oh, no, it's not. He was like, yeah, that's Betsy's dad. And so we were both freaking out because we were like, hold on, we got to confirm before we get excited. And so he called his mom. And then my mom verified again. And then both of them were talking about your parents' wedding in Sudan that they all helped arrange. And then they were telling me your mom and my dad grew up on the same street in Makala. So like the same neighborhood. And then so your mom and like my aunts, like my dad's sisters, my mom's sisters, all would like work together and knew each other as kids in Makala and then in Sudan too. And then they split when we went to America and you guys went to Australia.
Yeah. When I see all the photos of
wild?
Sudan, I'm like, where are these people? Where are these people? Now I need to go back and be like, hey, where are Hannah's parents? But when I spoke to my dad about it, because I thought it was for my dad, he spoke to me like, you're stupid for not knowing. He's like, yes, of course. I know her brother. He's like, and then he's like, her mom is so crazy. Like, she's very proud. She's like very proud to Tigrawati. Like, hi, Alia. I'm like, all these stuff. Like, I should be embarrassed. I didn't know that. I was like when you need to tell me these things. Like, what if I was like dating someone I was related to? Like, how do you not tell me?
Saying. And then so here's the funny thing. My brother and my mom said the same thing to me. They're like, what do you, and my brother especially, because, you know, my dad lives back home. He goes, we've been with him. So I had met your dad. I didn't know his kids, because everyone's always like, oh, my kids, they're back in whatever country, state they're from. You're not really investigating that, because when they say kids, I assume they're talking about children, like little children, not like people around my age. So yeah, it's pretty wild. So that's our story, guys. So you guys got a fun little story there. And yeah.
Great. Nothing to do with policy and advocacy, but just
good
connections, networking.
It does, right? I can always make it work. It does, because had it not been for us being separated, had we known these skills in order to keep our people safe, right, and to keep our community safe, then we might not have split. We might not have split up. I mean, I'm glad the way that destiny works and the way that life works, like, brought us back together in this way. But this is also an opportunity for us to like understand, here's our second chance at making sure our kids don't know that same separation, you know? And that's why I do it. That's why I do it, at least. Let's see.
Keep doing
Betty, are you Abba Johanna? You don't have to answer that on live, but maybe she'll get the message.
What? I didn't get anything.
It says, the question says, Betty, are you Abba Johannes's niece? But
no.
I was like, I don't know. I was like, I don't know if you want to answer that on live.
You're like,
Okay.
you don't want to answer that online? Oh, I'm his like cousin.
Oh,
But
okay.
niece, he's early 30s. I mean, technically I could be.
Yeah, technically I'm like 20 years older than my siblings, but
yeah. But you know what's so weird? I actually like, I guess I used to always say like that's my uncle only because his younger sister I see as like my auntie, but she's like she's like, I don't know, like 10 years older than me. But and then I realized that he's younger than her. I was like, I can't be calling these people like my uncles and aunties. Like, I'm not that far off. Like, I'm not 19 anymore. Like,
listen,
yeah.
the way numbers don't make sense when you get older. I have to remind myself.
It doesn't. Like, I'm so close. Honestly, I'm 25, but mentally, I feel like I'm 35. I've retired.
Bro.
But Abi Hannes is amazing. He'd probably kill me for like gassing up on live. But he's I see him all the time. He was like a monk. Yeah. He's a monk, but he is like an advocate as well, like a very strong advocate for like Tigray, but even prior to that, he was very woke. But like years ago, like 5 years ago, if he does end up watching this, I'll send it to him. I saw him in just briefly, like on the way back home to come here, and he gave me like this huge. Like, I've never heard like. Not even I'm not like even a priest speak to someone like so professional in English, like so well spoken, blah blah blah. Because he's originally from like Europe, and it inspired me. Like I was like very religious at the time, and yeah. So now like whenever I'm like struggling, I just call him. I'm like, oh my god, this person's like giving me a headache, or I'm like getting burnt out, and he just like fills me up again. He's like the monk version of you, Hannah. The religious version of you.
The monk version. Hey, listen, I love it. Wherever you find your teachers, you find them. Like they got you. I don't know what this. For some reason, I can't read the comments. Abi Hannes is my favorite priest. He was close with my late mother and remember spending summers. That's so beautiful. I can't read. Oh my
god, it's so beautiful. Why did I not see this?
I don't know why. It keeps cutting them off weird. Okay, it says I remembered spending my summers in Addis and he would come see me. That's sweet.
Oh my god, that's so beautiful. No, he's actually amazing. Like he'd go back home quite often, but yeah, he's like, it's usually young, quirky, and like he just knows how to, I guess, speak to like the youth.
Makes sense. Okay. I probably the way I probably meet people and don't know, I don't know, but okay, you do shit at work. Don't try to get out of your question. You got it. 60 seconds. What do you want your legacy to be?
What about this
in life?
Honestly, it's a very bold question. I can't lie. So if I were to die on the way to work, I'm like, this could not possibly be my answer. But at the moment, the way things are, I would be happy if I could inspire people to speak to themselves. Like I'm really big on like one face not being part of the movement. So like inspiring people to like speak up and use their voice, use your voice. Because like my favorite quote, and I always say this, is like there comes a time when like silence is betrayal. So like if you don't speak up, like nothing will change. So that would be my legacy, is making sure that like I inspired people to speak up on their own.
Listen, Bettier, you know you already do that.
I will keep fighting for that.
Oh, not that you're trying to cut off. I said people have already told you this. You know that you inspire people. And it's not a bold question. It's a let me plant the seed early question, and give me an opportunity to get, to affirm that for you. You might be a little younger than me, but your fire is definitely there, and you definitely still inspire people. You give me a headache some days, but you definitely light the fire under me because you're like, I'm like, damn, okay, Betsy's right. I can, okay, all right. So
I know, honestly, I have to reduce my aggression. I actually have to reduce. I literally yell at people when I'm like, can you speak? Speak for yourself. Because they like ask me to say something in a meeting. I'm like, no, you speak yourself. Like, but yeah, I need to be nicer about it. I will be.
No. You do it. You're a harsh coach. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I know. Coach. People think I'm so nice. I'm like, wait till you're working with me, and I'm a yell. So I feel like you're cutting out and I'm not cutting out. So let me, oh, you come back. Okay, I can hear you now. Oh no, I stopped talking. I think it's lagging. It must be lagging. It's probably lagging. Okay, cool. So let me just end this because Hannah is on pause, I think. Okay. All right, cool beans. It's okay. It's definitely new, but I would say that if you oh my god.
No, finish.
Hannah, the way you need to fix the internet, like, don't even come for Australia's internet. Like, I feel like I have been A1. It's been HD the whole time. But quickly, because I do have to go to work, unfortunately, because it is, for those who are just listening now, I did get up at 5:30 a.m. for this. And, you know, we'd be suffering down under for the sake of this global movement. But honestly, I think, like, yeah, so everyone needs to, like, speak for themselves. Don't, like, I sound crazy, but do not rely on people to speak. Like, I don't like, so even me, if you want to say Australia or anything else, like, I don't like the same faces being around. Like, I'm just so against that. Like, you need to speak up. You need to speak up. There are people who can't speak. There are people, like, outside of Tigray that have disabilities, mental health issues, like, they can't speak. If you can speak, like, I'm gonna have a tattoo here, like, just saying, like, speak. Like, speak up.
Use your voice.
Yeah.
Be careful what you wish for,
because
everybody speaks, but not everybody has something to say. Let me just say that.
And you can, honestly, you don't have to speak. You can, oh my god, you're making me seem crazy. You can do other things without having to speak up. Like, not everyone is a leader. Everyone.
Don't do that, Betsy, because you're gonna go on this thing. I'm just dropping a bar for people to realize. Have something to say, right? Like, find what you want to speak about and then go hard at it. But figure out what that thing is, because there's a lot in this world that is trash, and you cannot do it all. So when you find the one thing, speak on it, and then speak on it a lot. And when you get good at that, you can start adding more things on your plate. But the whole point is, the first step is find your voice to begin with. So
exactly.
And what I want
find
to
your environment as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So what I want to affirm, like I said,
your top 5 friends. Your top 5 friends, like, determines like 80% of success. Like, they need to be motivating you, uplifting you. If that's not happening, like move away.
100%. And you
I've been cutting people off so fast. You don't understand. I'm like, oh, you're being a headache? Cool. I'll speak to you after the war. Bye. Like, I've been cutting people off so fast. It's honestly so bad, but yeah, here I am.
I'm crying.
Here I am.
Rhymes and Poetry said people should echo you and those in the movement. Absolutely. So with that said, Betsy is a voice that I know is always advocating for our people in the truest form, fiercely so, non-apologetically some days. And I love you for it, sis. You are inspiring a lot of these girls to get up and do it. I mean, the men too. I'm surprised we don't see more, like, I love the t-shirts around them. But
oh my god, please stop.
I'm just
you
gonna
have
throw
to
that out
give
there,
anxiety.
But I love you so much. Get to work. Thank you for doing this with me. I hope you guys were inspired by Betsy. And yeah, that was Black Women Wednesday.
Thank you. I know. And also, I'm giving you credit too. Hannah does so much behind the scenes, guys. Like, so much. She's a part of, like, we have like so many groups together, but like, there are a lot of people behind the scenes that are doing work but not getting credit for it. Hannah is one of them, or Ruta, whatever you want to call her, but it's Hannah for me. Please recognize a lot of people behind the scenes. But like, Hannah literally is like the therapist to so many people. I met one of her friends yesterday from America, and Hayat, and literally we're just talking about, we're guessing you up. Like, I was like, she's actually my therapist. Like, I think you think I'm joking. Like, I go to her to have like random rants or advice, and then I leave. I feel refreshed. Like, so yeah, thank you for doing this and uplifting Black women, because a lot of people don't uplift, not even in our community. So it's great.
Oh no, they don't. But on that note, I have a surprise later on today. You all see it. Betsy kicked off my day, but y'all will see why I look so tired and shit later on.
What about me? I look so tired. What are you talking about?
Oh, I get anyways. No, Dahana. We're not gonna start this
Okay.
game. I love you so much. Have
Love
a
you
good
too,
rest of your
sis.
day.
Everyone get
Get your
ciao.
Tigray flag.
Hana hadulu.
All
Okay,
right.
bye, sis.
Bye, y'all. Bye, everybody.